When Donald Trump arrived at the Ryder Golf Tournament on Friday, he claimed that his presence might help rescue the American team that was losing to the Europeans. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The American team did end up losing to the Europeans this weekend for the first time on U.S. soil since 2012. But Donald Trump's presence here caused a lot of commotion this weekend. And unfortunately, the event ended up becoming more about politics than it did about sports, which is just what we generally tend to see whenever Trump shows up to these events. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, this sort of politicizing of sports events in this MAGA era and what it has really done to sort of sap the enjoyment of these events for people now. Let's start off, though, by playing Donald Trump's arrival at the Ryder Cup on Friday.
So, as we get set for the afternoon session, there's a new spectator in the house, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and his granddaughter, Kai, also with him, just arriving to the stands here, with the United States trailing Europe 3-1.
First of all, the optics of this could not be worse. I mean, the government is days away from shutting down. Republicans aren't budging on that because they want to be able to, codify and lock in their bill that strips healthcare from millions of people and strips SNAP benefits from millions of people. Yet Trump, a few days before that's supposed to happen, is flying on a whim to the Ryder Cup to go sit through a golf tournament. Like, that just doesn't look good to start things off. And what ended up happening at this tournament is what happens so many times when Donald Trump shows up places. The Ryder Cup is known, for being this raucous event where, people cheer and jeer and taunt, but it's all kind of this like playful in good fun thing. And the problem is, after Trump showed up, the mood of everything really shifted to sort of this like dark negative tone. The sort of MAGA golf fans there started shouting, homophobic slurs at people and were chanting F you to the golfers. And, even at one point, one of the golf fans did this to Rory McIlroy's wife. Let's take a look.
Después de ganar su partido con Son Lowry, bajando al green del 17 para animar al resto del equipo, cuando de repente, ya lo veis, alguien le tira un vaso, Rory se revuelve, hay un momento de tensión en una tarde histórica, no solo por el resultado, sino también porque hubo momentos de vergüenza. Esta mañana, en esta previa, debatiremos si ayer, en los foros de la tarde, se llegó un poco al extremo.
I don't think we could call throwing a beer at the wife of one of the people you're competing against all in good fun. And that's sort of the problem here is Trump's presence sort of escalated this energy and really, ratcheted up some of the like real negative, bad, embarrassing fan behavior from the American fans who were there, shouting for the president, but also, doing stuff that clearly crossed the line of what was acceptable at this event. And, yes, the European team won, and Rory McIlroy was asked about all of this and how he felt about the fan behavior from some of these kind of MAGA golf fans over the weekend. And this is what he had to say.
Something that you just have to accept, or is it something that's taking the game in a dangerous direction?
No, I don't think we should ever accept that in golf. I think golf should be held to a higher standard than what was seen out there this week. Golf has the ability to unite people. Golf teaches you very good life lessons. It teaches you etiquette. It teaches you how to play by the rules. It teaches you how to respect people. And, sometimes this week we didn't see that. So, no, this should not be what is acceptable in the Ryder Cup. But, we will be making sure to say to our fans in Ireland in 2027 that, what happened here this week is not acceptable. And it's, for me, it's, come and support your home team. Come and support your team. I think if I was an American, I would be annoyed that I didn't hear a lot of shouts for Scotty today, but I heard a lot of shouts against me. And it's like, support your players.
And Rory hit on something important here, which is that, with Trump there for his, his MAGA base and his MAGA fans that were there, this wasn't about, how do we support the Americans or the American team and try to cheer them on? It was about, who is the enemy in this situation and who should we be directing our worst ire and insults at to make sure that they feel, less than. And that is, unfortunately, something that casts a shadow over this whole thing that is supposed to be fun for people at the end of the day. And it seems to happen every time Donald Trump steps into an event and inserts himself into these places where people just want to enjoy the sport and the competition of it all. But, if you look at the way that even, all these European news outlets covered it over the weekend, this competition, because Trump showed up, ended up becoming about Trump versus Europe and Europe needing to, have this victory over Trump. And, the European golf team that won the Ryder Cup this weekend also got in on that. Let's take a look.
Are you watching? Are you watching? Are you watching Are you watching Donald Trump? Are you watching Donald Trump?
And Trump responded to that video this morning from the European team and basically offered hollow congratulations to them. But at the end of the day, the point still stands, which is that even for this European team, their victory ended up becoming a statement on one person's ego versus about their victory in the sport. And that is what happens. Trump shows up to these events, the event pivots toward him, and it pivots away from being about the sport. And he doesn't bring unity to these things at the end of the day. He shows up and people start acting in ways that they shouldn't and that are inappropriate because that's what they see from the leadership in our country right now. And I think people are exhausted over it. And I think they're exhausted of seeing politics put into every single facet of their life. I know people on the right might respond and say, well, what about the times Democrats have inserted politics into sports? And I'm sure they would point to 2016 and Colin Kaepernick and his kneeling at the games when he was playing in the NFL. At least Colin Kaepernick, when he was doing that, he was doing it for a cause. He was doing it to protest dangerous police practices. And there was something behind his actions. For Trump, there is no cause to showing up at these things. He is just showing up because it is the biggest spotlight around in any given week, and he wants the spotlight to be on him. And it distracts from what all of these things are supposed to be about. And it unfortunately ruins it for people who are trying to lean on this stuff to escape politics for a bit. And so he's probably not going to stop doing this stuff, but it is unfortunate to see some of these places that used to be a refuge for people kind of turn into another campaign style event for the president where some of his supporters act on their worst impulses. That is it for us on this one. If you like this video, throw a like on it, follow the Demwins Media YouTube channel, follow me at buildingthebench.substack.com, and we will keep bringing you the news as you need to see it. Thanks for watching.